Hello, welcome to the Drowsy Mind. Tonight, we're going to explore something you've experienced countless times, but perhaps never fully understood. We're going to talk about dreams, why we have them, what they might mean, and why, after all these years of human curiosity, we still don't have one simple answer. You don't need to remember any of this. You don't need to take notes or stay alert. This is just something gentle to listen to while your mind settles for the night. If you drift off halfway through, that's perfectly fine. In fact, it's kind of the point. Dreams are one of those topics that fascinate almost everyone. We've all had dreams that felt important, or strange, or beautiful, or frightening. We've all woken up wondering what a dream meant, or why our sleeping brain decided to show us those particular images. And for thousands of years, humans have been asking the same questions. What I want to do tonight is walk you through some of the ideas people have had about dreams. Not as facts you need to memorize, but as possibilities. As different ways of thinking about what happens when your conscious mind steps back and your sleeping brain takes over. Some of these ideas will contradict each other. Some will feel true to your own experience. Others might not resonate at all. And that's okay. Dreams are deeply personal, and the theories we have about them are often just educated guesses, drawn from patterns researchers and thinkers have noticed over time. So, as we move through this, I invite you to hold these ideas lightly. Let them be interesting, not stressful. Let them be something your mind can wander through, rather than something you have to figure out. There's no test at the end. There's no right answer. There's just the quiet mystery of why, every night, our brains create these strange, vivid, sometimes beautiful worlds that disappear almost as soon as we wake. Tonight, you can simply listen. You can let your thoughts drift. And if you fall asleep before we reach the end, well, perhaps you'll dream about something we talked about. Or perhaps you won't. Either way, it's all okay. Let's begin. Asterisk before we dive into the theories about why we dream. It helps to understand, just briefly, when and how dreams happen. You probably know that sleep isn't one solid block of unconsciousness. It's more like a cycle. Throughout the night, your brain moves through different stages of sleep, each with its own rhythm and purpose. In the simplest terms, we can think of sleep as having two main types, non-REM sleep and REM sleep. Non-REM sleep has several stages. The first stages are light sleep, where you're drifting off, still somewhat aware of your surroundings. Then you move into deeper sleep, where your body is more relaxed, your breathing slows, and your brain waves change into slower, more synchronized patterns. This deep sleep is where your body does a lot of its physical restoration. Your muscles relax. Your heart rate drops. It's quiet, restorative time. And then, after a stretch of this deeper sleep, something interesting happens. Your brain shifts into what we call REM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement, because during this stage, your eyes move quickly behind your closed eyelids, even though you're still asleep. REM sleep is where most of your vivid dreaming happens. Your brain becomes more active during REM. In fact, if you looked at brain activity during REM sleep, it would look surprisingly similar to waking brain activity. And yet, your body is still deeply asleep. Most of your muscles are actually paralyzed during REM sleep, which is thought to be a protective mechanism so you don't act out your dreams physically. This paralysis is temporary, of course. It lifts as soon as you wake up. But it's one of the reasons why, in dreams, you might try to run or shout, and feel like you can't. Your brain is sending signals, but your body isn't responding the way it normally would. Throughout the night, you cycle through these stages multiple times. You might go from light sleep to deep sleep to REM, and then start the cycle again. Each cycle lasts about 90 minutes, give or take. And as the night goes on, your REM periods tend to get longer. So, you're doing more of your vivid dreaming in the early morning hours, just before you wake up. That's also why you're more likely to remember dreams from the morning. You're waking up closer to a REM period, so the dream is fresher in your mind. Now, it's worth mentioning that you can dream during non-REM sleep too, but those dreams tend to be less vivid, less narrative, more like brief thoughts or fragments. The big, story-like dreams, the ones that feel like little movies, those mostly happen during REM. So, when we talk about dreaming tonight, we're mostly talking about REM sleep. That strange, active state where your brain is buzzing with activity, your body is still, and your mind is creating experiences that feel real in the moment, even though they're not. Why does this happen? Well, that's what we're here to explore. But first, it helps to know that this is a universal human experience. Everyone dreams. Even if you don't remember your dreams, they're happening. Your brain is cycling through REM sleep multiple times every night, and during those periods, it's generating imagery, emotion, sensation, narrative. What all of that means, though, is still very much a question, and people have been trying to answer it for a very long time. Long before neuroscience. Long before we knew about brainwaves or REM sleep, people were already fascinated by dreams, and they developed rich, meaningful theories about what dreams were and why they happened. In many ancient cultures, dreams weren't seen as random brain activity. They were seen as something sacred, something important, something that connected you to forces beyond yourself. In ancient Egypt, for example, dreams were thought to be messages from the gods. If you had a particularly vivid or strange dream, you might visit a dream interpreter, someone trained to help you understand what the gods were trying to tell you. These interpreters had manuals, lists of symbols and their meanings. A dream about a certain animal might signify good fortune. A dream about water might be a warning. The ancient Greeks had similar ideas. They believed dreams could be prophetic, offering glimpses of the future, or that they could be visits from the gods or the spirits of the dead. In some Greek healing temples, people would sleep in sacred spaces specifically to receive healing dreams. They believed the god Asclepius would visit them in their sleep and offer guidance or even cures for their ailments. In many indigenous cultures around the world, dreams have been treated as deeply significant. Some cultures view dreams as a way to connect with ancestors or to receive wisdom from the spirit world. Others see dreams as a way to process not just personal experiences, but collective ones, the shared life of the community. These perspectives are not superstitious in the dismissive sense. They reflect a deep understanding that dreams feel meaningful. They carry emotion. They often touch on things we're worried about, things we desire, things we fear. And in cultures where spirituality and daily life are intertwined, it makes sense that dreams would be seen as part of that larger web of meaning. Even in medieval Europe, dreams were often interpreted through religious frameworks. A dream might be seen as a message from God, or a warning, or a test of faith. People wrote entire books analyzing the symbolism of dreams, trying to decode what certain images or scenarios meant in a moral or spiritual sense. What's interesting about all of these historical views is that they treated dreams as purposeful. Dreams weren't just noise. They weren't just the brain misfiring. They were messages, or journeys, or encounters with something beyond the everyday self. And while modern science has moved away from these supernatural explanations, there's something valuable in the respect these cultures had for the dream experience. They recognized that dreams feel important, that they affect us, that they can leave us with emotions or insights that linger long after we wake. So even though we now understand more about the biological mechanisms of dreaming, we're still, in a way, asking the same questions those ancient interpreters were asking. What do dreams mean? Why do we have them? Are they trying to tell us something? The answers have changed, but the sense that dreams matter, that they're worth paying attention to, that's been with us for as long as we've been human. If you've ever heard someone say, it's just a Freudian thing, they're probably referring to Sigmund Freud, the Austrian neurologist who became one of the most famous and controversial figures in psychology. Freud had a lot of ideas about the human mind, and one of his most famous contributions was his theory of dreams. In 1899, he published a book called The Interpretation of Dreams, and in it, he argued that dreams were not random, and they were not messages from gods. Instead, he said, dreams were the fulfillment of wishes. Freud believed that during sleep, when your conscious mind was less vigilant, your unconscious mind could express desires and impulses that were normally kept hidden. These might be desires you weren't even aware of, wishes you'd never admit to yourself. And in dreams, those wishes could play out, disguised and transformed into symbolic images. This is where Freud's idea of symbolism comes in. He thought that the content of a dream, the actual images and events you remember, were not the true meaning of the dream. They were a kind of code, a disguise. The real meaning, the unconscious wish, was hidden beneath the surface. So, for example, if you dreamed about climbing a staircase, Freud might suggest that the staircase represented something else entirely. Something sexual, perhaps, or something related to ambition or desire. He believed that many dream symbols had universal meanings, though he also acknowledged that personal context mattered. Freud's ideas were revolutionary at the time. He was taking dreams seriously in a new way, not as spiritual messages, but as psychological ones. He was suggesting that your dreams could tell you something about your inner life, about parts of yourself you didn't consciously acknowledge. But his theories were also, we now understand, quite limited. Freud was working in a specific cultural context, early 20th century Vienna, and many of his ideas about sexuality and repression reflected the norms and anxieties of that time and place. His interpretations could be very specific, very confident, and often very focused on sexual or aggressive impulses. Modern psychology has moved well beyond Freud in many ways. We don't assume that every dream is a wish fulfillment, or that there's one correct interpretation for every symbol. But Freud did open the door to the idea that dreams are psychologically meaningful, that they might reflect our inner conflicts, our desires, our fears, and even if his specific interpretations seem outdated now, the broader idea that dreams are worth exploring, that they connect to who we are as people, that idea has stayed with us. So, when you hear someone talk about dream interpretation, they're often drawing, even unconsciously, on this Freudian legacy. The idea that dreams are more than just noise, that they're worth thinking about, that they might be trying to tell you something about yourself. Whether that's true in the way Freud thought, well, that's another question. But it's an idea that shaped how we think about dreams for over a century, While Freud focused on personal unconscious desires, another psychologist, Carl Jung, took a different approach. Jung was initially a student and colleague of Freud, but over time he developed his own theories, and they diverged significantly from Freud's ideas. Jung agreed that dreams were meaningful, but he didn't think they were just about wish fulfillment or repressed desires. Instead, he believed that dreams drew on something deeper and more universal. He called this the collective unconscious. The collective unconscious, in Jung's view, is a kind of shared psychological inheritance. It's a layer of the mind that holds patterns, images, and symbols that appear across cultures and throughout history. Jung called these universal symbols archetypes. An archetype isn't a specific image. It's more like a template, a pattern of meaning that shows up in different forms. The archetype of the mother, for example, might appear in dreams as your own mother, or as a nurturing figure, or as the earth, or as a goddess. The form changes, but the underlying pattern, the idea of nurturing, protection, creation, that remains. Jung identified many archetypes: the hero, the shadow, the wise old man, the trickster. These are roles and figures that appear in myths, in fairy tales, and, according to Jung, in dreams. When you dream of a journey, or a battle, or a mysterious guide, you might be encountering these archetypal patterns. What Jung found interesting was that people from completely different cultures, who had never met or shared stories, would sometimes dream about similar themes and symbols. This suggested to him that there was something built into the human psyche, something we all share. Jung didn't think dreams were trying to hide their meaning the way Freud did. He thought dreams were trying to communicate, but in a language of symbols and metaphors. The dreaming mind speaks in images, not in logical sentences. So, if you want to understand a dream, you need to engage with it on its own terms. You need to sit with the imagery, explore what it evokes, rather than trying to decode it like a puzzle. He also believed that dreams could be if your waking life was too one-sided, too focused on logic or achievement, your dreams might bring forward neglected parts of yourself, emotions you'd ignored, creative impulses you'd suppressed. Dreams, in this view, are balancing forces, trying to keep the whole psyche in harmony. Jung's approach to dreams is less about finding the one true meaning and more about exploring what the dream evokes. What feelings does it bring up? What does it remind you of? What parts of yourself does it seem to be pointing toward? This makes Jungian dream interpretation feel more open-ended than Freudian interpretation. It's less about diagnosis and more about dialogue. Less about uncovering a hidden truth and more about discovering layers of meaning, and Jung's ideas about archetypes have had a lasting influence, not just in psychology but in literature, film, and storytelling. The idea that certain themes and symbols resonate across cultures, that they tap into something deeply human. That's an idea that still feels relevant. Of course, Jung's theories are also speculative. The collective unconscious is not something we can measure or prove in a scientific sense, but as a way of thinking about why certain dreams feel so powerful, so universal, it offers a compelling perspective. When you dream of falling, or being chased, or finding yourself in a vast, unknown landscape, maybe you're not just processing your personal life. Maybe you're also touching something older, something shared, a pattern of human experience that's been repeated across generations. That's the possibility Jung invites us to consider. And whether or not you believe in the collective unconscious, it's a beautiful way to think about the richness of the dreaming mind. So far, we've been talking about theories that treat dreams as meaningful, as messages or reflections or psychological communications. But not everyone agrees with that approach. In the late 1970s, two researchers named Alan Hobson and Robert McCarley proposed a very different theory. They called it the activation synthesis model, and it suggested that dreams might not have any deep meaning at all. Here's the basic idea. During REM sleep, a part of your brainstem, deep in the lower regions of your brain, becomes very active. This area sends out signals, random bursts of neural activity. These signals travel up to the cortex, the outer layer of your brain where higher level thinking happens. Now, your cortex is used to making sense of things. That's what it does. It takes sensory input and creates a coherent story, a narrative, an experience that makes sense. So, when it receives these random signals from the brainstem during REM sleep, it tries to do what it always does. It tries to make a story out of them. And that story, according to Hobson and McCarley, is what we call a dream. In this view, dreams are not purposeful. They're not encoding hidden desires or archetypal symbols. They're just the brain's attempt to create meaning out of noise. The activation is the random neural firing. The synthesis is the cortex pulling it together into something that feels like a narrative. This theory was, in some ways, a reaction to Freudian and Jungian approaches. Hobson and McCarley were saying, essentially, dreams don't need to mean anything. They're just a byproduct of how the brain works during sleep. And there's something appealing about this idea. It takes the pressure off. You don't have to decode every dream. You don't have to worry that you're missing some important message. Dreams, in this view, are just your brain doing its thing, creating stories because that's what it's wired to do. But the activation synthesis model has also been criticized, because while it explains why dreams are so bizarre and disjointed, it doesn't really explain why they often feel meaningful, why they so frequently touch on things we're worried about, or working through, or deeply moved by. If dreams were truly random, you'd expect them to be more like static, more like nonsense, but they're not. They often have emotional coherence. They often feel like they're about something, even if the details are strange. So over time, the activation synthesis model has been refined. Some researchers now suggest that while the initial neural activity might be somewhat random, the way the cortex synthesizes it is not. The cortex draws on your memories, your emotions, your recent experiences. So, the dream that emerges is shaped by who you are and what's going on in your life. In other words, the brain is a storyteller, yes, but it's telling stories that reflect you. Your concerns, your hopes, your fears. The raw material might be random neural firing, but the narrative that gets built is personal. So maybe dreams don't have one intended meaning, the way Freud thought, but they might still reveal something about your inner life, just by virtue of what your brain chooses to weave together. This is a middle ground that a lot of modern researchers find useful. Dreams aren't ordained messages, but they're not meaningless either. They're stories your sleeping brain tells itself, using the materials of your life. And those stories can sometimes be interesting, or revealing, or worth reflecting on. But you don't have to analyze everyone. You don't have to treat them like puzzles. Sometimes they're just the brain doing what it does best, creating narratives, even when there's no clear plot to follow, and that's okay. That's just part of being human, part of having a brain that never really stops working, even when you're asleep. Another prominent theory about why we dream has to do with memory. This is the idea that dreams are, in some way, connected to how your brain processes and stores information from your waking life during the day. You're constantly taking in new experiences, conversations, images, facts, emotions, and your brain has to sort through all of that. It has to decide what's important enough to remember and what can be discarded. A lot of this sorting happens during sleep, particularly during REM sleep and certain stages of non-REM sleep. Your brain is thought to be consolidating memories, strengthening the connections between neurons so that important information gets transferred from short-term storage to long-term storage, and this is where dreams might come in. Some researchers believe that dreams are a side effect of this memory consolidation process, as your brain is sifting through the day's events, replaying neural patterns. Some of that activity bubbles up into consciousness in the form of dream imagery. This would explain why dreams often include fragments from your recent life, something you saw earlier that day, a conversation you had, a place you visited. Your brain is working on those memories, processing them, and you're catching glimpses of that work in the form of dreams. But it's not just about replaying events exactly as they happened. Your brain is doing something more complex. It's integrating new information with older memories. It's making connections. It's extracting patterns and meanings. And that's why dreams are so often strange and surreal. You might dream about your childhood home, but there are people in it from your current life. Or you dream about a recent conversation, but it's happening in a completely different setting. Your brain is blending, recombining, linking things together in ways that don't necessarily follow waking logic. There's also evidence that emotional memories are processed differently than neutral ones. Your brain seems to prioritize consolidating memories that have emotional weight, things that made you feel strongly, whether that's joy, fear, sadness, or excitement. Those are more likely to get strengthened during sleep, and this might explain why dreams are often so emotionally vivid. You might not remember the exact plot of a dream, but you remember how it made you feel. That lingering sense of anxiety, or happiness, or confusion. Those emotions might be echoes of the consolidation process. Your brain working through feelings as well as facts. Some researchers have even found that people who are learning new skills or information tend to dream about related themes. Students studying for exams might dream about being tested. Musicians learning a new piece might dream about performing. The content isn't literal, but there's a connection. The brain is working on what matters to you. So, in this view, dreams aren't random, but they're not necessarily symbolic either. They're a reflection of your brain doing its housekeeping, sorting memories, strengthening what's important, discarding what's not. And if you happen to remember a dream, you're getting a peek into that process. You're seeing, in a distorted, fragmented way, what your brain is working on while you sleep. This theory doesn't mean dreams are meaningless. They can still tell you something about what's occupying your mind, what's emotionally significant to you, what your brain is spending energy on. But it does suggest that you don't need to read too much into every detail. The strange combinations, the bizarre settings, those might just be the result of memory networks lighting up in unusual ways. Your brain is a meaning-making machine, even when it's just filing away the day's events. And dreams are what that process looks like from the inside. Messy, creative, emotionally charged, and often surprisingly revealing, even if they're not trying to send you a message. One of the things you might have noticed about your dreams is that they often have an emotional charge, even if the content is strange or nonsensical. The feelings in a dream can be very real. Anxiety, fear, joy, sadness. Sometimes those emotions are more intense than anything you feel during the day, and this has led some researchers to suggest that one function of dreams, particularly REM sleep dreams, is to help regulate emotions, to process feelings that might be difficult to deal with when you're awake. During REM sleep, certain parts of your brain are very active. The amygdala, which is involved in processing emotions, especially fear, is quite active during dreams. But at the same time, other parts of your brain, like the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in logical thinking and self-control, are less active. This creates an interesting state. You're experiencing emotions intensely, but without the usual filters and regulations that your waking mind would impose. You're feeling things directly, without the rational voice that might say, "This isn't a big deal," or "You're overreacting." Some researchers think this state allows your brain to process emotional experiences in a safer way. You're not actually in danger. You're lying in bed, asleep. But your brain is running simulations, replaying emotional scenarios, working through feelings. There's a theory called the threat simulation theory, proposed by a researcher named Rep. He suggests that one evolutionary function of dreams might be to rehearse responses to threatening situations. In dreams, you might find yourself running from danger, or confronting something frightening, or navigating a stressful scenario. And even though none of it is real, your brain is practicing. It's running through what-if scenarios. What if I'm chased? What if I'm lost? What if I fail at something important? This doesn't mean that every dream is a threat rehearsal, but it might explain why so many common dreams involve some kind of challenge or danger, being chased, falling, losing something. These are situations that would have been relevant to our ancestors, and maybe our brains are still wired to simulate them. The idea is that by practicing these scenarios and dreams, you might be better prepared, emotionally and psychologically, to handle real stress when it comes up. You're not learning specific physical skills, but you're keeping your emotional responses tuned, your stress systems calibrated. Of course, not all dreams are threatening. Many dreams are mundane, or strange, or even pleasant. But when stress is high in your waking life, dreams often reflect that. They become more intense, more anxious, more focused on conflict or loss. This is one reason why people going through difficult times often report more vivid or disturbing dreams. Their brains are working overtime, processing the emotional weight of what they're experiencing. Dreams become a space where those feelings can play out, and in a way, that's a healthy process. It's your mind's way of not suppressing difficult emotions, but engaging with them, even if it happens in a distorted symbolic form. This theory doesn't claim to be the only reason we dream. It's one possibility among many, but it's a compelling one, especially when you think about how often dreams involve strong feelings, how often they touch on anxieties or fears. Maybe dreams aren't giving you answers, but they're giving you space. Space to feel things, space to rehearse, space to process what might be too overwhelming to deal with directly during the day. And that, in itself, might be valuable, not as a message to decode, but as a natural part of how your mind takes care of itself while you sleep. There's a famous story about the chemist August Kekulé, who was struggling to understand the structure of the benzene molecule. One night, he had a dream about a snake biting its own tail, forming a circle. When he woke up, he realized that benzene might have a ring structure. And this insight led to a breakthrough in organic chemistry. Then there's Paul McCartney, who famously dreamed the melody for the song Yesterday. He woke up, went to a piano and played it, worried that he might have unconsciously copied it from somewhere. But it was original, a complete melody that had simply appeared in his sleep. These stories are often told to illustrate the idea that dreams can be a source of creativity, insight, and problem solving. And while these anecdotes are compelling, we have to be careful not to overstate the case. Not every dream is going to solve a problem or produce a masterpiece. But there is something real here. During sleep, particularly during REM sleep, your brain is in a state that's quite different from waking thought. The logical, linear, focused thinking of the day gives way to something more associative, more fluid, more unexpected. Your brain makes connections that it might not make when you're fully awake. It combines ideas in unusual ways. It draws on memories and images from different parts of your life and weaves them together without worrying about whether they make logical sense. And sometimes, in that process, something new emerges. A solution you hadn't thought of, a perspective you hadn't considered, a creative idea that feels fresh and surprising. This is not magic. It's a feature of how your brain works when certain inhibitions are lowered. When the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that does a lot of critical, logical thinking, is less active, other parts of your brain have more freedom to play, to explore, to combine things in novel ways. Some researchers have studied this by giving people problems to solve before they go to sleep, and then testing them when they wake up. And in some cases, people do perform better after sleep, especially after REM sleep. They find solutions they couldn't find before, or they approach the problem from a new angle. It's not that the dream itself necessarily gives you the answer, but the state your brain is in during dreaming might allow your mind to wander through the problem space in a way that's more flexible than waking thought, of course. This doesn't mean you should rely on dreams to solve all your problems. Most of the time, dreams are just dreams. They're strange, they're fragmentary, they don't offer clear guidance. But if you're stuck on something, if you're trying to think creatively, if you're working on a problem that requires a fresh perspective, it might help to sleep on it. Not because dreams will hand you the answer, but because the sleeping brain is good at making unexpected connections, and occasionally, very occasionally, one of those connections might turn out to be useful. It might spark an idea. It might help you see something you'd been missing. The key is not to force it, not to expect it, but to recognize that your brain is still working while you sleep, still processing, still exploring. And sometimes, when you wake up, you might find that your mind has wandered somewhere interesting. That's the gift of the dreaming brain. Not certainty, not answers, but possibility. A reminder that your mind is larger and more creative than you sometimes give it credit for. And that even in sleep, it's still curious, still searching, still trying to make sense of the world. Not all dreams are pleasant. Not all dreams are gentle or creative or emotionally neutral. Some dreams are frightening. Some are distressing. Some wake you up with your heart pounding, feeling shaken or upset. These are nightmares, and they're a normal part of the dreaming experience. Most people have nightmares occasionally, and for some people, especially during times of stress or trauma, nightmares can become more frequent and more intense. Nightmares often involve themes of danger, loss, or helplessness. Being chased by something threatening, falling from a great height, losing someone you love, being unable to move or speak when you need to. experiencing something terrible happening and feeling powerless to stop it. The emotions in nightmares are real, even if the content is not. Your body responds as if the threat is real. Your heart rate increases. You might sweat. You might wake up feeling genuinely afraid, and it can take a few moments to orient yourself, to realize you're safe, that it was just a dream. So why do nightmares happen? Part of it might be connected to the theories we've already talked about. If dreams are processing emotions, then nightmares might be your brain working through fear, anxiety, or stress. If dreams are rehearsing threats, then nightmares might be your brain running through worst-case scenarios. Even if that's not particularly pleasant, nightmares are also more common when you're going through something difficult. If you've experienced something traumatic, your brain might replay elements of that experience in dreams, trying to process it, trying to make sense of it. This is especially true for people with post-traumatic stress disorder, where nightmares can be frequent and distressing. But even without trauma, stress and anxiety can increase the likelihood of nightmares. If you're worried about something during the day, that worry might show up in your dreams, amplified and distorted. It's also worth noting that nightmares are more common in children than in adults. Young children have nightmares relatively frequently, and this is thought to be a normal part of development. Their brains are still learning how to process fear and other emotions, and dreams might be part of that learning process. If you have nightmares occasionally, that's normal. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It's just part of how your brain processes difficult emotions. But if nightmares are frequent, if they're disrupting your sleep, if they're causing you significant distress, it might be worth talking to someone about it. Not because nightmares are dangerous, but because they're often a signal that something in your waking life needs attention, stress that needs to be addressed, anxiety that needs support, trauma that needs care. Nightmares are not your enemy. They're not a punishment. They're just your brain trying to do its job, sometimes in a way that feels overwhelming. And when you wake from a nightmare, it's okay to take a moment, to breathe, to remind yourself that you're safe, that it was a dream, that the fear you felt was real, but the situation was not. Over time, for most people, nightmares become less frequent, and even when they do happen, they're temporary, they pass. And the morning always comes, bringing with it a sense of distance from whatever happened in the night. Your dreaming mind can create intense experiences, but it can also let them go. And you don't have to hold on to every difficult dream. You can acknowledge it and then release it, knowing that it was just your brain working through something in the only way it knows how. You've probably noticed that most of your dreams disappear almost as soon as you wake up. You might have a vivid dream, full of detail and emotion, and then, within minutes, sometimes seconds, it's gone. You might remember a vague sense of what it was about, or a single image, but the rest has faded into nothing. This is completely normal. In fact, it's the rule, not the exception. Most dreams are forgotten, and there are good reasons why. One reason has to do with brain chemistry. During REM sleep, the neurotransmitters that are important for forming long-term memories, like norepinephrine, are at very low levels. Your brain is active, it's creating experiences, but it's not in a good state for encoding those experiences into stable, long-term memories. So even though the dream feels vivid and real while it's happening, it's not being stored in the same way that your waking experiences are. It's more like a temporary experience, something that exists in the moment, but doesn't get filed away for later. Another reason is that your brain is selective about what it remembers. Your brain can't store every single thing that happens. It would be overwhelming. So, it prioritizes. It holds on to things that seem important, that have emotional significance, that connect to your goals or your survival. And most dreams, even vivid ones, don't meet those criteria. They're strange. They're fragmented. They don't follow waking logic. So, your brain, when it wakes up and shifts back into its normal mode of operation, essentially decides that the dream isn't worth keeping. It lets it go. There's also the fact that waking up itself disrupts the memory of the dream. When you transition from sleep to waking, your brain is changing states. Different neurotransmitters become active. Different networks take over. And in that transition, the dream, which existed in one state, often gets lost. This is why if you wake up in the middle of the night, right out of a dream, you're more likely to remember it. You're still close to the dream state. But if you roll over, fall back asleep, and then wake up later in the morning, that earlier dream is usually gone. It's been overwritten by the next sleep cycle, or simply lost in the transition. If you're someone who wants to remember your dreams, there are a few things that can help. Keeping a dream journal, writing down whatever you remember as soon as you wake up, can train your brain to hold on to dreams a little longer. The act of paying attention to dreams seems to make them slightly easier to recall. But even then, most dreams will still slip away, and that's okay. It doesn't mean those dreams weren't valuable, or that they didn't serve some function while they were happening. It just means your brain has decided they don't need to be stored long-term. In a way, this is a mercy. Imagine if you remembered every dream in perfect detail. Your mind would be cluttered with hours and hours of bizarre, disconnected narratives. It would be hard to tell what was real memory and what was dream memory, so your brain does you a favor. It lets most dreams fade. It keeps the waking world clear and coherent, and it allows you to move through your day without being burdened by every strange journey your mind took during the night. The dreams you do remember, those are often the ones that woke you up, or the ones that had strong emotional content, or the ones that happened just before you woke naturally. Those dreams linger because something about them was significant enough for your brain to hold on to, at least for a little while, but even those memories will fade over time. Dreams are ephemeral. They're meant to be, and maybe that's part of their beauty. They exist for a moment, and then they're gone, leaving behind only a trace, a feeling, a sense that something happened, even if you can't quite remember what. Before we move on, it's worth mentioning a particular kind of dream that many people find fascinating: lucid dreams. A lucid dream is a dream where you become aware, while you're still asleep, that you're dreaming. You realize, in the middle of the dream, this is a dream. And sometimes, once you have that realization, you can exert some degree of control over the dream. You can choose where to go, what to do, how the dream unfolds. Not everyone has lucid dreams, and for those who do, they're often rare, fleeting experiences. But some people train themselves to have lucid dreams more frequently, using techniques like reality checks, keeping dream journals, or practicing certain mental habits before sleep. Lucid dreaming is not a new idea. It's been described in various cultures and spiritual traditions for centuries. Tibetan Buddhists, for example, have practices around lucid dreaming as a form of meditation, a way to explore consciousness and gain insight. In modern times, researchers have studied lucid dreaming in the lab. They've confirmed that it's real. People can signal from inside a dream using eye movements, that they're aware they're dreaming. And brain scans show that during lucid dreams, certain areas of the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain involved in sleep, become more active than in regular dreams. So lucid dreaming is a genuine phenomenon. It's a state where the boundary between sleep and waking consciousness becomes a little blurred. You're asleep, your body is still in REM sleep, but a part of your mind has woken up enough to observe and sometimes direct the dream. For some people, lucid dreaming is exciting. It offers a sense of freedom, a chance to explore imaginary worlds, to fly, to do impossible things. It can feel empowering, playful, even transcendent. For others, it's just a curiosity. Something interesting when it happens, but not something they actively pursue. And that's fine. Lucid dreaming is not necessary. It's not something you have to do. It's just one more variation on the dreaming experience. One more way the sleeping brain can surprise you. If you're interested in lucid dreaming, there are many resources out there. Techniques to try, communities to explore. But it's not a requirement for a healthy sleep life. And it's not a sign of anything lacking if you don't have lucid dreams. Most of the time, dreams are not lucid. Most of the time, you're simply in the dream, experiencing it, without the awareness that it's a dream. And that's the more common, more natural state. Lucid dreaming is a doorway some people walk through. But the vast landscape of ordinary dreaming, where you're swept along by the story, where you believe it's real, where you feel everything fully without questioning it, that's where most of us spend our nights, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, there's something rather beautiful about surrendering to the dream, letting it take you wherever it wants to go, without the need to control or direct it. Both experiences, lucid and non-lucid, are part of the richness of dreaming, and both, in their own way, are worth appreciating. Even though everyone's dreams are personal, shaped by their own life and experiences, there are certain themes that show up again and again, across different people and cultures. These common dream themes are interesting because they suggest that there might be some universal aspects to dreaming, patterns that reflect shared human experiences or concerns. One of the most common is the dream of falling. Many people have experienced this. You're falling through the air, or off a cliff, or down into darkness. Often you wake up with a jolt just before you hit the ground. This dream is so common that it's almost a cliché. Psychologically, falling dreams are sometimes thought to reflect feelings of losing control, or anxiety about failure, or a sense of instability in your life. But they might also just be a response to the physical sensations of your body relaxing as you fall asleep. A kind of mismatch between what your brain expects and what your body is doing. Another very common theme is being chased. You're running from something or someone, and you can't quite escape. You might feel like you're running in slow motion, or like your legs won't work properly. This is often linked to avoidance, to running from something in your waking life that you don't want to confront. But again, it might also just be your brain playing with fear, rehearsing threat responses in a safe environment. Dreams about being late, or missing an important event, are also common. You're trying to get somewhere, but you can't find your way, or time is slipping away, or you're stuck in traffic, or you've forgotten something crucial. These dreams often reflect anxiety about responsibilities, about meeting expectations, about not being prepared for something important. Then there are dreams about losing teeth. This one is surprisingly widespread. You might dream that your teeth are falling out, or crumbling, or rotting. It's often unsettling. Some interpretations link this to concerns about appearance, or aging, or powerlessness. Teeth are associated with strength and confidence, so losing them might symbolize vulnerability. Dreams about being naked in public are another common theme. You suddenly realize you're not wearing clothes, and everyone can see you, and you feel exposed and embarrassed. This is often thought to reflect feelings of vulnerability, of being seen in a way you're not comfortable with, of having your flaws or insecurities revealed. Dreams about exams or tests, even years after you've left school, are common too. You're back in a classroom, or you've just realized there's an exam you haven't studied for, or you can't find the exam room. This often reflects performance anxiety, fear of being judged, fear of not measuring up. And then there are flying dreams. These are less common than the anxiety-related themes, but when they do happen, they're often remembered fondly. Flying in a dream can feel wonderful, liberating, empowering. It's sometimes interpreted as a sense of freedom, of rising above problems, of seeing things from a new perspective. Now, it's important to note that these interpretations are not universal truths. Just because you dream about falling doesn't automatically mean you're feeling out of control in your waking life. Dreams are personal, and their meaning, if they have meaning, is shaped by your own context. But the fact that these themes recur so often suggests that they touch on fundamental human experiences: fear, vulnerability, anxiety about performance, the desire for freedom. These are things most people grapple with at some point, and dreams seem to be a space where those concerns can play out. So, if you have one of these common dreams, you're not alone. You're part of a long tradition of dreamers, stretching back through history. All of us experiencing similar themes in our sleep, and whether those dreams are meaningful messages or just your brain working through common human anxieties, they're a reminder that we're not as different from each other as we sometimes think. Even in our most private, personal experiences, like dreaming, we're connected by shared patterns, shared fears, shared hopes. We've talked about common dream themes, about theories and patterns, but it's important to pause here and acknowledge something crucial. Your dreams are yours. While there are patterns, while there are themes that show up across cultures and across time, the specific meaning of any dream is deeply personal. It's shaped by your life, your memories, your emotions, your current circumstances. A dream about water, for example, might have a general association with emotions, or the unconscious, or change. But what water means to you specifically depends on your own relationship with water. If you grew up by the ocean and have happy memories of swimming, water in a dream might feel safe and comforting. If you nearly drowned as a child, water might feel threatening. The same is true for any symbol or theme. A dream about a house might be about your sense of self, or your past, or your family. But the specific house, the feelings it evokes, the details that stand out to you, those are unique to your experience. This is why dream dictionaries, those books or websites that claim to tell you what every symbol means, can be misleading. They offer general associations, and those can be interesting to think about. But they can't tell you what your dream means, because they don't know you. The best interpreter of your dreams is you. Not because you have some special skill, but because you have the context. You know what's going on in your life. You know what you're worried about, what you're hoping for, what you're avoiding. You know what certain people or places or objects mean to you personally, and even then, you might not be able to pin down a clear meaning, and that's okay. Dreams don't always have neat, tidy explanations. Sometimes they're just your brain wandering, combining things in strange ways. Processing in the background, the question isn't always what does this dream mean? Sometimes the better question is how does this dream make me feel? What does it remind me of? What was I thinking about before I went to sleep? Those reflections can be more useful than trying to decode every symbol. Because dreams are not usually sending you coded messages. They're just experiences. Experiences that can sometimes feel significant, that can sometimes touch on something real, but that don't necessarily have one correct interpretation. And it's worth saying that not every dream needs to be analyzed. Most dreams can just be dreams. You can notice them, maybe reflect on them briefly if something stands out, and then let them go. _analysing, dreams can actually become a source of stress. If you're constantly trying to figure out what every dream means, you might start to worry that you're missing something important, or that your dreams are trying to tell you something urgent that you're not understanding. But dreams don't work like that. They're not tests. They're not riddles with one right answer. They're just part of how your mind processes experience, how it sorts through emotions and memories and possibilities. So be gentle with yourself when it comes to dreams. If a dream feels meaningful to you, if it resonates, if it seems to connect to something in your waking life, then by all means, sit with it. Think about it. See what comes up. But if a dream is just strange, or forgettable, or doesn't seem to mean anything, that's fine too. You don't have to force meaning onto every dream. You can let them be what they are, fleeting experiences, products of your sleeping brain, interesting or mundane or bizarre, but ultimately just dreams. The patterns we've talked about, the theories, the common themes, those are tools for thinking about dreams, but they're not rules. Your experience is the most important thing, and whatever your dreams are like, whether they're vivid or vague, frightening or pleasant, meaningful or nonsensical, they're part of your inner life, and that's enough. One of the strangest things about dreams is how they play with your sense of self. In a dream, you might be yourself, but a different version of yourself. Or you might see yourself from the outside, as if you're watching a character in a movie. Time works differently in dreams too. You might experience something that feels like hours, but when you wake up, only minutes have passed. Or you might dream about the past, the present, and an imagined future all mixed together. And the space in dreams is fluid. You might be in one place, and then suddenly you're somewhere else, with no transition, and it feels completely natural. You might be in your childhood home, but it's also your current apartment, and that contradiction doesn't bother you while you're dreaming. This fluidity suggests something interesting about how the dreaming brain constructs experience. In waking life, your sense of self is fairly stable. You know who you are. You have a continuous narrative of your life. You understand where you are in time and space. But in dreams, those structures loosen. Your brain is not bound by the same rules. It can collapse time. It can merge places. It can present you with impossible scenarios, and you accept them, at least until you wake up. Some researchers think this is related to the parts of the brain that are less active during REM sleep. The prefrontal cortex, which is involved in self-awareness and critical thinking, is relatively quiet. So, you lose some of your ability to question or analyze what's happening. You're more immersed, more accepting. This can create a sense of presence in dreams that's quite powerful. Even though the content is impossible, the experience feels real. You're not watching the dream, you're in it. You're feeling it, Your sense of self, in that moment, is wrapped up in the dream experience. And when you wake up, there can be a strange moment of you have to remember who you are, where you are, what's real. The dream self dissolves, and the waking self reassembles. This fluidity might also be one reason why dreams can feel so emotionally significant. When your sense of self is less rigid, when your defenses are down, emotions can flow more freely. You might feel things in dreams that you hold back during the day. Grief you haven't fully processed. Joy you're afraid to embrace. Fear you're trying to ignore. Dreams give those emotions space to exist without the usual constraints of waking identity. And that can be both unsettling and, in a way, healing. There's also something playful about this fluidity. Dreams let you try on different identities, different scenarios, different ways of being. You can be someone else. You can do things you'd never do in waking life. And there's no consequence, because it's not real in that sense. Dreams are a kind of rehearsal space, not just for threats or problems, but for possibilities, for ways of being that might not fit into your waking life, but that your mind still wants to explore. This doesn't mean you should take every dream literally, as if it's revealing some hidden truth about who you really are. But it does suggest that dreams are part of how you navigate your sense of self, how you process your identity, how you explore the boundaries of who you are and who you might be. And when you wake up, when you return to your stable, waking sense of self, you bring a little of that exploration with you. Not consciously, perhaps, but somewhere in the background, your mind has been stretching, playing, trying things out, and that's part of what it means to be human. To have a self that's not entirely fixed, to have a mind that wanders, even in sleep. To be, in some small way, always becoming, always exploring, always more than just the narrow identity you carry through your waking day. Dreams remind you of that. They remind you that your sense of self is a construction, a story you tell yourself. And in sleep, that story loosens and other stories emerge. And in the morning, you return to the familiar narrative. But maybe, just maybe, with a sense that there's more to you than you usually acknowledge. We've spent a long time together tonight, wandering through theories and ideas, exploring the landscape of dreams. And if you're still here, still listening, that's lovely. But if you've drifted off somewhere along the way, that's lovely too. Because at the end of all this, the most important thing to remember about dreams is that you don't have to figure them out. You don't have to decode them, or analyze them, or worry about what they mean. Dreams are just part of the experience of being human. They're part of what your brain does while you sleep. Sometimes they're fascinating. Sometimes they're strange. Sometimes they're beautiful or disturbing or completely forgettable. And all of that is okay. We've talked about Freud and Jung, about memory consolidation and activation synthesis, about threat rehearsal and creativity. We've looked at common themes and individual meanings. We've explored nightmares and lucid dreams and the fluidity of the dreaming self. But none of that means you have to treat every dream like it's a puzzle you need to solve. None of that means you're missing something if you don't remember your dreams, or if they don't seem meaningful to you. Dreams are just dreams, and that's enough. If a dream resonates with you, if it feels like it's touching on something real, then by all means, sit with it. Reflect on it. See what it brings up. But if a dream is just noise, just your brain sorting through the day's events in a haphazard way, then let it go. Don't force meaning onto it. The human mind is so good at finding patterns, at creating stories, that we can convince ourselves that everything means something. But sometimes things just are. Sometimes a dream is just a dream. And there's a kind of peace in that, in not having to analyze everything, in not having to be vigilant, even in sleep, for messages or warnings or hidden truths. You can just sleep. You can just dream. And when you wake up, you can carry on with your day without worrying about what your dreams were trying to tell you. Of course, if you enjoy thinking about dreams, if you find them interesting or inspiring, that's wonderful. Dreams can be a source of creativity, of insight, of wonder. They're one of the most mysterious aspects of human consciousness, and there's nothing wrong with being curious about them. But curiosity is different from anxiety. Curiosity is light, open, playful. Anxiety is heavy, urgent, demanding. So be curious if you want, but don't let dreams become another thing to worry about. Don't let them become another task, another responsibility. Your mind is already doing so much. It's processing, sorting, consolidating, regulating. It's keeping you alive, keeping you functioning, keeping you. And dreams are part of that work. They're not extra. They're not optional. They're just part of the process. And most of the time, they take care of themselves. You don't have to do anything. You just have to sleep. You just have to let your brain do what it's been doing for as long as humans have existed. And in the morning, you wake up. And the dreams, whether you remember them or not, have done whatever they needed to do. And you're ready for another day. That's the rhythm. Sleep and wake. Dream and forget. Rest and return. It's simple, it's ancient, and it's enough. So tonight, if you're listening to this as you fall asleep, let go of the need to understand. Let go of the need to remember. Let go of the need to analyze or interpret or make sense of anything. Just let yourself drift. Let your mind wander where it wants to wander. Let the dreams come, whatever they are, and know that you don't have to hold on to them. You don't have to do anything with them. They're just part of the night, part of the quiet, mysterious work your brain does while you rest. And when morning comes, you'll wake up, and you'll be okay. And whatever you dreamed or didn't dream will have been exactly what it needed to be. So, sleep well, dream gently, and know that you're safe, here in the quiet of the night, with nothing to figure out, nothing to solve, nothing to do but rest. Your mind will take care of the rest. It always does. And you can trust it. You can let go. Good night.